ahead and open that up. This is the version F, I should say. So, instructions, cabling over here, amp, speakers for the rear deck, a brace or to hold the amp in place, and underneath is the new design of the version F subwoofer. As you can see, it's no longer made from particle board. Feels like it's made actually of metal. This design, I think, is a significant improvement, as the packaging as well is significantly better than reported on Chris's video. It's arrived intact, and I'm excited to get it installed. Shout out to Chris, by the way. Thanks for the video showing how to install it. So I'll be showing you guys how to install this new version F. So these are the instructions. So as Chris pointed out, the instructions are somewhat difficult to follow, as you can see. I'll be using mainly his video and one or two other videos, as well as Hanshow's video, to help install this. So just to power off the car as much as possible here. Power off. Are you sure you want to power off? Place the foot on brake to turn power back on. And there you go. Power off. So it's probably a good idea to disconnect the 12-volt battery, which is here in the front. Very simple. Just needs a socket wrench. It's a 10mm part to just disconnect the lead to the battery. So first step is to remove this upper trim. It's in the right corner, just adjacent to the door. So this type of a tool, bought a kit of them off eBay, fairly cheap. Comes with all these other tools. Here's my instructions. Here's Chris's video playing. So I found this tool, the spudger, worked best. Just push it in from underneath and from on top, pry it off, and it popped right off. So after that initial trim comes off, you have this little push pin. That little push pin pops right up with this pointy spudger tool. Once you remove that piece, there's a little push pin over here that should come off easily with this little prying tool. So after popping the push pin, it's time to come under this trim, and you just pry it up with the pry bar, and it comes right off. This little speaker wire gave me a little bit of problems. There's a tiny little hole in there. You have to push something in to release the wire in order to release that wire for the speaker. So I just went ahead and did the same thing, removing the two trims on the driver's side as well. So next step is to remove this panel from the dash, side of the dash. So just finished removing the panels from both sides of the dash. Okay. And then what you need to do is you need to pull out, let's see if I can show you. There's a connector pin in there. Right here, so it's all connected up now. This is the replacement one right there where my finger's showing. And the original Tesla plug is plugged into passenger side B of the Hansshow. So at this point, I had to connect the speaker wire for the right front speaker. You can see it connected here among this mesh of wires. It was a little bit hard to find this assembly. It was actually not fixed to anything. It was just floating inside there, so had to be fished out a little bit and plugged in. But this is the wiring from the harness assembly that comes from the right side connection. So up in there it's connected, the wires are connected to the system, comes down, it's this assembly on the right that connected in there. So at this point this is removed, the other wires, the rest of the wires are passed in to the rear, to the trunk area. I had to remove the trim inside here and the trim leading into the back, past the wires underneath the seat belt into the rear. So at this point I just removed the trim from the back deck over here. Very simple, just two little push pins. This popped right off. Next step is to remove this trim that's at the lock, trunk lock, and the back bumper. At this point, just using 10mm ratchet, can remove 3 screws. One there, one here, and one over here. It liberates the space for the subwoofer, and this piece of plastic comes off. So when the subwoofer arrives, there's one bracket, this one over here, that's not attached during delivery, during shipment. You just need to unscrew these 2 Phillips screws over here and then attach the bracket using those same Phillips screws that are in this position. So at this point, it was easy to connect up this wire here. It was there, but I didn't realize that this extra wire, which is for the rear deck speakers, was actually not part of the other assembly of wires. It's a separate wire. In any case, that took a few minutes to realize. It's now connected up. And there we go. Looks like that, into the amp. So this additional second wire is for the rear speakers, and it'll also be passed to the rear of the car. So this is the speaker that comes with the Tesla. Unscrew these 3 screws over there. You can see the one in the back I started unscrewing. And then once it's replaced, that's the replacement speaker that comes from Hansshow. This is the Tesla speaker that I removed. One thing about it that bothers me, this Hansshow, is that the original Tesla speakers are screwed into place. These ones aren't. They've got the Hansshow ones just have a little bit of putty that supposedly holds them in place. The Hansshow ones do feel quite a bit better than the Tesla ones. I'll grab one here out of the box. It's got a nicer weight to it. It's got a nicer feel to it. But I just wish that they were actually held in place a little bit better than they are. So this is the Hansshow speaker, and that's the Tesla speaker. Has a nice polypropylene speaker here, as opposed to the paper one here on the original Tesla. It's got a nice mount over here nice caliber wires as well. The whole thing, it just looks like a better quality product than the original speaker that came with the Tesla over here. But like I said, the original Tesla speaker is mounted much better into place. I wish they did that with the Hansshow. Okay, so just finished installing the 2 rear deck speakers. The grill didn't fit back properly. It's my fault. I can't really install them back the way they were supposed to be. Now, I can't believe I'm doing this, but it's time to remove the rear seats, which is I'm doing now in order to access power, in order to power up the system. So once you remove the rear seat, then it exposes a battery connection over here. So Chris had quite a bit of problems connecting the battery. This suggested location for battery attachment looks much easier to access. Here's your ground, and here's the positive terminal. At this point, I'm ratcheting in the 3 screws to hold the subwoofer in place, just on the inside of the passenger side rear quarter panel. Connections are already in place. The only thing that I did different was changed the cheap RCA cables that they gave us with some audiophile quality cables. I don't know if that's going to make any difference. There's something I needed to point out, is that the cable that they'd sent, where they say it's important to connect up the red and black properly, if you look, there is no red and black. It's not labeled. Unlike in their video, it's not color coded in any way at any point. There's something that wasn't obvious in the initial video or in Chris's video. This is on the version F. So there's a plug here right where the cables run to the back. You have to connect this up also. So there's right here this cable here. So you plug in the Hansshow cable here, and you remove the original Tesla cable, which is over there, and you connect that up to their cabling. So that's right at the right side, passenger side, rear seat. As you can see, here's the seat belt, and it's right there. It's exposed once you remove the trim next to the seats. So it's time to close things up. I just attached the 12-volt battery back. I tested out the stereo, and the right, left, all of that works properly now. So now the next thing is going to be to close up all these wires, or the trims. But before I do, I just wanted to show you everything. This is the driver's side. Wires come through underneath the center portion to the passenger side, comes up. Here's what we changed. Here's the original. There's the plug. This is the original Tesla cable for the audio, sitting unconnected. The new one is that green wire connected over there. So that's it for the driver's side. I'm going to put the amp in there, show you the trunk. Bit of a mess, but here's the subwoofer in place now. These wires, I was concerned about whether it was the correct side or not. It seems to work, so I don't really know if it was right or wrong, but it works. This is the control for the subwoofer. I just have it flat right now. Here's some of the wires. I'm going to feed those through, close this up. That's how it comes into the back. Here's the wire for the sub over here. This is the wire as well for the sub and for the rear speakers.
David, what's your phone at the back of the visa?
So this here was the connector situation with the rear speakers. Remove the original, put the Hansshow in between. It's over there. The wires coming down underneath the seat belt. The power cables are underneath the seat, which I've already placed back. There's a mesh of wires going into the front. Along here, the front speakers are bypassed, or I have the Hansshow cables in between. This is the one for the right front speakers, and here's their amplifier over here, and everything works. The speakers over here, which were not functioning before, are functioning now, and the tweeters up here also similarly were not functioning before, but they are now. The rear deck speakers, which really didn't need to be changed, but I changed them anyhow, are underneath there. It's kind of dirty. Let me get a better view. Anyway, it's over here underneath the grill, which I did not do a great job putting the grill back. I might just take that grill off altogether, but they're underneath there, and they actually do sound quite nice, and they look good too. I'll play a bit of music after. So at this point, the back panels are reassembled. I am holding the controller on to the lock panel just with some Mac tack. Works quite well. I didn't feel like putting this all the way in the front of the car. I don't see any reason for it. And all the panels are back in place. Actually, this tool right here I found very useful to have these trims hold the plastic back in place, like just here. So on the inside of the passenger door, just put a few cable ties just to keep things clean. Almost done here. There's the amp, which will be tucked underneath the dividing console between the passenger and the driver's side, and then I'll have to close this up. Almost done. So I didn't want the amp itself rattling around, so I used some Mac tack to secure it into place so it doesn't move, doesn't rattle if I hit bumps or anything like that while driving. So I just finished putting the Hansshow audio upgrade into the car. Everything's back in place the way it should be, and let's hear.